Voice of reason.
Hello and welcome. I am your host, the best podcast host in the universe, Steve Cully. I'd like to thank our sponsors at Procyon Partners. Procyon, one of the top 50 fastest growing companies in the nation. They specialize in employee benefits, wealth management, and retirement planning. President Sean Rabinowitz, proud supporter of our podcast network and everything we do. Green Street Trust International, owned and operated by Rennell Jump and UConn legendary men's basketball player Jake Voskuhl. They specialize in tax plans for businesses large or small. They will save you money or get you a big fat return on your taxes. To schedule your free strategic tax planning session today, go to www.greenstreettrust.com. Pete Finch and the Finch Law Firm is located in Bridgeport, Connecticut. If you've suffered any type of personal injury, slip and fall, car accident, your mother-in-law ran you over with her car, your wife got angry one night and decided to stab you, the Finch Firm is for you. Pete has won legal battles all across the state of Connecticut. He will go to war to get every dollar you deserve in compensation. You just have to remember, in a pinch, call Finch or go to his website, thefinchfirm.com. Dynamic Human Performance is owned and operated by UConn legendary running back Andre Dixon. He trains boys and girls of all ages, all sports. He has a boot camp program 7 days a week, 6 a.m. You want to get in shape, you go to Andre. He has an athletic development program where he trains boys and girls in the sport of their choice from the ground up, helps them reach their full potential, be the best they can possibly be. Andre has sent boys and girls to college on scholarship for all different types of sports. To work with the best, he has a 5,000 square foot state-of-the-art facility in Hartford, Connecticut. Go to www.dynamichumanperformance.com. All right, here we are for Broker Than You. I'm your host, the best podcast host in the universe, Steve Cully. With me, as always, the king of real estate in Erie, Pennsylvania, Laban Marsh, who has a fedora on for the first time ever.
Bro, that's not a fedora. That's a driver's cap. A fedora
I can't tell the difference.
is who's that great Alabama?
Justin Timberlake wears fedoras.
Yeah, who's the great with the houndstooth pattern from Alabama?
Oh, Bear Bryant.
Thank you, Bear Bryant. That
was a fedora. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
And the pattern was houndstooth. Houndstooth is that black and white pattern. So,
okay. All right.
Yeah.
And
but this is a driver's cap. Wow, the hair doesn't look so good. Wow. The Boston Scally. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Boston Scally. But now that I've said this, anybody watching is going to get so many in their feed, bro. I'm telling you. And I will say, and I obviously Fresh, good to have you with us, brother. But if you buy a product, like I have a fairly small head, although I try to put on my old football helmets and my head has gotten larger, and so they don't even come close to fitting, but I think they were pretty tight. But Boston Scally, like I've ordered the same size hat, and it's not always consistent. That's the only negative I would say about them. And I talked to some other guy that wears them. And again, if you order like a 6 7/8 or a 7 or a 7 1/8, you want to be able to order the same hat and get the same fit, but it's not always true, and they do have different styles. But enough about me. Fresh, good to see you, brother.
Good to see you too.
Entrepreneur extraordinaire, owner of Fresh Food Laundry Company.
Fresh is so busy, he doesn't even have time to watch the Olympics. Because when the Olympics are on,
either. Come on,
bro, it's sports. Listen, there are some.
Skating? You want to watch fucking figure skating?
Bro, have you skated? I would love to see you on skates.
No, nor do I care to.
Okay. Well, and number one, hockey, I was never a hockey guy, but I can't skate. I definitely can't skate backwards. I could probably fling a puck, but if you're asking me to skate backwards, fling a puck, and get checked, bro, that's a legit sport.
Hockey's
I know
fine.
you're not.
You know what's crazy?
But
I
even
just want to
like
be clear. Did you just say you cannot
luge.
skate?
Bro, I can't skate. I could, but every time I skate, it hurts my ankles because the skates go hard into your shins and I'm bow-legged, so that does not help.
This is gonna be funny then. This is gonna be funny. What I'm about to say. So out of all
you can do a triple axel.
I'm the one that
do
can
a triple
skate.
axel.
I can skate backwards, and fling and shoot a puck.
The brother can skate.
Bro,
of us
PK
three,
Subban? Are you PK Subban?
The white guys that can't skate.
It's the same as
That's
rollerblade.
hilarious.
I used to rollerblade, and then I actually skated at
That is
UConn.
hilarious.
I skated on UConn's rink when they used to have the wooden bleachers around in the skate rink.
Yeah. That was actually an outdoor rink for a while,
Yeah.
even when I first got there, late 90s. So wait, do you play like beer league hockey?
No, I haven't played hockey in years, but we used to play street hockey on our rollerblades back in the projects. Believe it or not, we did.
Wow. No, I believe that. But I mean, like, we would play stick ball where you just use a broomstick and a tennis ball.
Oh yeah,
but
that's
like,
New York. Stick ball all day with a either a tennis ball or a little with the handball. We had a blue handball. We used to play with a stick ball.
Well, but similar to hockey, like, have you ever tried to downhill ski just like at a normal mountain?
Yes, I used to ski. Yes.
Do you enjoy it, Steve?
I used to. Yeah, I used to like skiing.
I mean, there's something about being outside in the cold and being warm and competitive that I find intriguing. And then there's stories like in every sport. But you see Lindsey Vonn, dude?
Yeah, I know.
She ruptured ACL and then blew out her.
Yeah, but she shouldn't have even competed.
Okay,
she knew what she was doing.
She took a spot.
Okay, both of you are exactly right, and yet tell me you can turn it off. Tell me you can turn it off.
It's hard. It's hard, man.
It is, but it's not her. I wouldn't make it her decision. She's representing the United States.
Bro, I know, but this is where
better. Was she like? Did she take somebody else's spot?
I'm sure she did.
Okay, and that is a valid point right there, Fresh. That is a valid point because not now. I think obviously you got to qualify. It's not like she just got in because of her name. You had to qualify, but you're right. If she knew
I think she
was going to be injured and there's an alternate, man, I do love seeing a backup get in.
I remember she was on a cusp. They was talking about her potentially not making it. She hadn't hit enough.
Well, she was 40 years old. Yeah,
she got in because of her name, because of her history. It's one of those things where she's done a lot for the sport.
Yes,
they respect her and they're like, you know what, we're gonna let you go out on your shield, kind of thing. And she actually did. She went out on her shield. Unfortunately,
yeah. I mean, if she really did skate or ski on the torn ACL and was okay before going there, fine.
There's no way. She went against all logic, all
you can't do that.
It's not like she's doing that with it's like with that the G.
Oh, the demand
and the bend you have to have. You ever see like the bend? Like
yes.
Oh, listen, that's where they've been. Like last night, they were doing the moguls to where they have two jumps in it, and I'm just like, bro, my knees hurt watching that.
Yo, they got super knees
watching it.
Super knees, yo. Yeah. Like I'm talking about it. I'm rubbing my knees right now. Like I can't even think. Like it's
that's where it is. It's hard to watch. I mean, you get in, and again, there were some pretty bad falls. I think the U.S. went 1-2 in the women's because Jakari from Australia made a mistake, which again is what's so awesome about sports. And this is where I talk to my kids in basketball about, minding your own business. Like, dude, if you're worried about your competitor versus taking care of your own business, we're talking about the uncontrollables. And I think that was one of the greatest things I learned at UConn with the sports psychology. Dr. Golden, by the way, I found him online and found his name. But I mean, dude, it was you can't control the uncontrollables. And so you can't worry about how someone else is going to perform, but understand that anybody can have a bad day. And my pole vaulters don't like it when I say it, but if they're having a bad day, I'll just say, hey, mama said there'd be days like this. And it is so true. Nobody wants to hear it. And then I played them the song because they didn't know the song.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think that is where what I love about sport is that you have to show up. Like, you can't just ride your name. Like, there is going to be a time where you get called to the carpet and you have to perform. And I don't want to hear excuses. You know what I mean? You're sick, you had a cold. And when it comes to a 4-year event, man, there's a lot that goes into it, a ton of support. And when you're victorious, it's outstanding. But when you let people down, man, it is a heavy, heavy burden and weight. And I think that's where, for Lindsey Vonn, I don't know, even at her best right now, could she have won? I think is the other question.
Yeah, maybe 41 years old. Yeah,
because anything can happen.
I don't think. Right. So here's the thing. I don't think when it comes to certain sports, especially some of these Olympic sports, age is not necessarily the determining factor. I think what happens is, like when Lay was talking earlier about turning it off. I think what happened is you try to turn it off. Let's just say she was out of commission for a couple years. She hasn't competed for some time. And then she's just like, all right, I'm gonna make a comeback. In a short window, it's like what happens is, like we get probably amped up. It's a little bit more edgy when it gets closer to like playoff time, when it gets closer to like
Super Bowl,
the Super Bowl, that championship thing, right? So when it was building up to the Olympics for her, that probably was hitting her like she was getting that edge, maybe a year out, which is probably not even. She didn't even do it a year out. I think it was probably within 6 months. She was like, "I'm gonna go for it again," which was a very kind of short window. And it's not like if it's like tennis or golf and you're always playing it, or you're doing something you're always doing, and then it's not much you got to change. For her, it's like that's very intense. You got to put your body through all these things that she did, and that's probably why she tore some of the stuff, because her body wasn't like adjusted back to it. And then in this day and age, she probably should have been getting like stem cell injections, like all of the biohacking. She probably did none of that. She just like,
but when you think about the recovery for any athlete, especially that, just when you thought about like having to repair the ruptured ACL, like that's brutal. But now you compound it. And I think that's where, especially for athletes, what they try to tough through it, but then you start overcompensating. And that's one of the things I've learned about my body in older age. I go to the chiropractor, I do all the things I need to do. But man, when I think it's my right shoulder, it's because my left hip flexor isn't, stretched. It's amazing how everything works together. But when you're not well aligned and you start overcompensating, you become so much more susceptible to injury, which is what I'm sure happened. Like she's trying to ride the other knee or whatever, and now she's overcompensating, and you just have to be careful. But I think that is the key, not only to either put somebody in place to wave the white flag for you and realize that it's not a submission, but it's just a smart thing to do. Yeah. But then, again, it just that's a hard thing to deal with. And unless you've been in that position, and not many of us have, and yet we also have enough to realize that, man, when you're 50 and 60, it's going to be so much more challenging because of, what you put yourself through at this age when it's all glorious. Because that was the other thing I tell parents about concussions. None of my football coaches have called and said, "Hey, how you doing, man? Everything good with your head?" And it's not their responsibility to, but in the same regard, then don't let it be their responsibility to dictate whether or not you play. You know what I mean? Like you and the parent or guardian need to be able to make that decision without the emotions fresh of knowing that we're getting close. Like, hey, if you don't make a decision, you're not going to be able to make the Olympic team. It's just such a hard thing. And it goes back to one of the most important things in sports, in business, in life, is having a good head on your shoulders, between the ears, being able to use your head to think about the pros and cons, weigh them all out. And I think, and again, if you know emotions, takes over, find somebody that can be that resource to lean on to, you know what I mean? Right. To hit you with maybe it is truth or just, again, potential future hazards. But I, at the same time, don't know if I'd ever turn it down. And so that's where you just almost have to stay away. Because I remember that, like with the Super Bowl over and we get to that tough time of year, we can fill the void with hoops and things. But
man, you are absolutely right. I actually looked into it, and there is a increase in depression when football ends.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a real thing. It's
depression percentage increases by like 20-something% once football ends, which I couldn't believe.
Well, and we briefly talked about one of the things that I do not want, I would never call a side hustle, which is gambling. And I think that's where if you're detached from something that not only does football provide that outlet for you, if it also provides a quote unquote side hustle, and you don't know enough about basketball to turn it there, that I think it compounds that depressive state that you know what I mean? You're missing out. But yeah, I had read that a while ago and then realized it even for myself, which is why I think I did enjoy the Olympics being on, because then I can immediately divert to something, and it doesn't have to be on the tube, but like sports are sports, and even hoops are starting to wind down. Like we're in the last week right now. Drew plays Thursday and Friday, and then playoffs start next week. Yeah. So, those adjustments in your schedule, in your life, like how many football fans every Monday night went to a restaurant with their buddies or whatever else. And again, when that ends, it just, you have to know what makes you tick. And then again, find outlets so that you don't get yourself into that depression, because there are many of, other options for you. So
I think what you're saying, it actually is some of the things, a good segue. A couple of things you mentioned kind of segue into all right, we talking, we're gonna touch on side hustles today, but just in the process of becoming an entrepreneur or entrepreneur, you have to have some of the things mentioned. Like you got to have discipline, and you mentioned she should have had maybe someone in place to like a coach to tell her like, hey, here's a cutoff point. Here's what you need to do.
A cut man. A cut man in boxing, right? Yeah. Somebody that's like, bro.
Well, no, it's your trainer, your coach is gonna, be like,
coach on the team that.
Yeah, we're not ready yet, right? And then you also, so in business, right? You need to have. We talk about this all the time. Having a mentor, so to kind of shorten your learning curve, somebody who's maybe done it before, not in the same industry, but maybe in the same industry, that could kind of shorten your learning curve, but also can tell you that maybe this is not for you, right? Maybe this particular one is not for you. Based on our time together, what you've been doing, maybe you should try this other side hustle. Maybe you should try these things. So there are so many things that you could get into. And I think just what we consider to be side hustles is so diverse. It's a long laundry list of things people can kind of get into. And I think, a lot of times if people can, I think first and foremost, have a pulse of where your talents lie, what you're skilled at, and those things can kind of lean into some of these opportunities that you can kind of jump into as a side hustle, and and turn that and for it to actually be a side hustle, as Laban always mentioned to it, like it gotta make dollars. If it makes dollars, it makes sense. So if you are doing this side hustle and you're not making any money, then it's merely a hobby. So to actually make sure it's not just a hobby and actually is a side hustle, you want to be able to get to that point to where you are actually seeing funds come in and you growing over time.
And I think, to that point though, like it can still be a side hustle and delaying gratification. And in that way, I mean, like with real estate investment, that's the hardest part, is that you have to delay gratification. You might be cash flow enough to be peeling some of it back, but for the most part, in order to really be successful, you know what I mean? It's to compound your investment and things like that, as opposed to peeling back. So I think that's where too. And the other thing that I was thinking about when you were talking about that, Fresh, like I had a young lady that I was in getting at a notary, and I gave her my business card, was doing something, and she's like, man, I've always been interested in real estate. And I'm like, well, I'll have you talk to my mom. You know what I mean? I didn't know she wanted to become an agent, and we are a commission-based business, so there's nothing guaranteed. And so my mom met with her and said, wow, she is fantastic, but it sounds like she needs something more regular than, to be able to wait to get a paycheck. So I had her meet with my wife. And at the time, my wife didn't necessarily need that role, but my wife said to me, listen, she is amazing. Have her talk to Lynn at the title company. And so now Kiana has been with us for 2.5 years. And it was the sort of thing where I met her at a notary. I could tell intuitively that she had her things together, was very diligent, good with work, expressed a passion in real estate. And so between the brokerage, the mortgage, and then title, she has been a great fit. So when you're out there on your side hustle, like, you don't know when you're going to run into that person that has an opportunity for you.
Exactly.
That just be yourself, be authentic, express, kind of your interests, and you never know who you're going to run into that will say, wow, I heard from somebody looking for somebody like you. And I think that is my value, is my resources of people, vendors, and the relationships that I've nurtured, where when I tell somebody, hey, you got to look at this person, they know my due diligence, they know my screening, they know my sense of a person and personality. So they trust what I gather from them. And that's a solid referral. I've taken pride on being able to recognize, like, hey, listen, I can't give you this painter because they just don't do it. You know what I mean? Like a judge of character. And so I think it's so important that as you pursue whatever side hustle it is, because I know a lot of guys that are into like card collecting, there's even pro athletes that are into this, right? And there's guys that will flip cards. There's even young teenagers that walk around with slabs worth 4 and 5 figures. It's insane. So flipping, and Gary V has always talked about garage sailing.
Yeah,
and
that's
going
my
to
guy right there. Yeah.
I mean, there's just it's changing the way you think about not only money, but your time and energy. You know what I mean? So I think when you have that special knowledge where Gary V could go to and there's people on Instagram all over the place that can find things at stores that they have it marked for $3 out of the thrift shop, but they know it's worth $300 because they know that product. And so I think there's something about when you find what you are passionate about, really educate yourself so that you can recognize great deals, which is what I do when a duplex comes up and it performs well and it's been well maintained. There's things that you can evaluate that you should know within your niche whether or not it's a good deal, even just intuitively. And there's a great book by Malcolm Gladwell called Blink that talks about following your intuition and knowing that you don't know why you feel like this is a bad deal, or you don't know why you feel it's a good deal, but intuition is something I believe you should lean on and base it on your previous due diligence and or understanding from previous mentors, right? Like the information you've gathered is what created that intuition, not where some other people, I think it comes from the stars.
And people get away from that. People get away from going with their gut and intuition. Yeah. It's all about,
well, even in testing, right? In testing, they always tell you, pick the first answer. Like if you go in and you put down an answer and then you erase it and go back, so often it is the first answer. So I think that, that was just something that as you were saying that, I thought of, hey, as you pursue your side hustle, you never know when it might become your main game. But I think, again, when you convey that passion and interest in something, someone out there is an expert in it or pretty close, and then can start making those connections for you. And you have to be willing. And I saw that somewhere else. What they say, make your network your net worth, or vice versa. You know what I mean? But and I've said that how many times? It's not the grades you make, it's the hands you shake. But man, the world is your oyster. And I think there's so many opportunities both to create revenue and side hustles. But also it comes back to the discipline and then following your passion and finding the network of people that will help you get there. And that's where I think you got to be willing to work for free for a little bit. And free is knowledge sometimes, which is more valuable than any dollar you could make from it.
Yeah, for sure. And I would say with that being said, man, I think what I think would be good is if we just kind of give a couple, like each of us just bring up a couple side hustles that pop in mind. I bring up a couple, and then we can kind of break down.
Sure.
the process? Like you just
Sure.
Couple side hustles. What's on your mind? What's two side hustles you think off top of?
I've been doing right now. I told you Schumann created a AI portal app, and it's the best I've ever seen. It tracks everyone available in the transfer portal by position. It uses 5 different AI programs.
Wow.
And you can get star ratings on them. It has a portal intelligence that it gives a portal intelligence rating on them. And then it gives you a breakdown of, their pros, their cons, where their targets are, where they can play at. So we have been reaching out to schools, and we have a couple meetings set up to try to sell it. And it'll be a subscription-based model, and it could be very, very lucrative if it all works out. We got Air Force, we got TCU, Florida State. We're going to meet with, and I mean, if we get one sale, it's going to be a big commission for us to do it. And monthly we'll be getting residual monthly income from it. So I got Joe Villapiano helping, Julius Williams helping, and myself. We're the ones doing it right now. And if we do well and it takes off, then Dave would get want more people involved, just to get connections with coaches. But yeah, I never expected that to work out.
Well, and I think that's a great point, though, too.
And high school kids it monitors too. He added high school, so it can monitor. It has any high school prospect in the country, their information. You can search it state by state, school by school, if you want, however you want to break it down positionally. It's. I mean, I could show you a demo of it.
Do they
online?
Are there like ratings for, man, I don't know how better to say this, like a personality rating? Like I know so many college kids say, okay,
not really, no,
because this is like the
so.
sales side of it. It gets you as an athlete in the door, but how many coaches go to watch this athlete and either, their body image, how they act is something where, like, how many times you see a coach say, I would never recruit him, or I heard their dad or mom in the stands screaming, and I would never want them at my school for 4 years. Yeah. So, like, do you know, is there any aspect of AI that gives some, and I know that sounds like this is what we're talking about. We're talking about people as a product, basically. So
there's a social media follower. So you can get, any social media posts from them. So
yeah, and that can really be harmful to kids, especially depending on the history of that. And I'm sure AI is making it easier and easier to pull from X or Facebook posts from years ago that are controversial, or that's almost scary.
I'll show it to you. I'll just show you what it looks like. And
I mean, is this involuntary, right? These kids don't have input into the portal, correct?
No.
I mean, they're just it's pulling data from whatever resources have already been put out there.
Out there, yes. It pulls from several different resources. So this is what it looks like. I'll share it. So I don't know if you can see it. I've tried to
I can see it, yeah.
Okay. So
you're saying you can type in specific wants or needs.
Yes. So right here,
I want the fastest guy in the country.
It's going by, scarcity of positions in the portal. So
what is the number one?
Quarterbacks or less, offensive tackles or less. And
it's because the DBs and receivers think they're worth more.
If I'm able to scroll down, I can't scroll down. I can look on mine.
So are you saying they're the fewest number of positions is the quarterback in the portal?
Quarterback, offensive tackle, tight end, and edge defensive line are the lowest. right now.
So I wonder how much kids think about the saturation. You know, if I'm a DB and I see that there's more corners and safeties looking in the portal, is that a part of your decision in going into the portal? Do kids even look at that?
No,
do they have access to that though? So
No, I was just going to say there were 11,000 kids who entered the portal this year.
Okay, and how many were quarterbacks?
3,000 got signed total.
That is less than 30%. That is not good.
It ended up being like 38%. I think it was like 3,800 or something. So that was the other thing. We were going to reach out to kids still available who are good or may not have representation and see if we could help them out. So right here, if you see portal scanner, so that's where you put in your search. You can put in top offensive lineman in the 2026 portal, still available, unsigned. You could put fastest receivers.
Yeah, that's what I want to see.
Unsigned. And it takes a little while to go through all the different sources, and then it pops out the players with the information. And then there's a high school scanner as well down here. He added high school. We were going to do the high school separate, but he thought it would be too confusing, so he put it all in. But it uses more information to do it because he has to buy credits from the different AI companies for the searches. Yeah. So that's why it's important to get the sales done. And then here it shows the schools, their activity in the portal as of recent. That's the ones that have been down, West Virginia, Florida State, Colorado, the ones who have signed kids recently, LSU, Texas Tech, Indiana. But yeah, and then you can put together a board. You can put together reports on each kid. And then this is the social media, social intel, social account, all that stuff. So you can check their social media. And it's amazing everything that it can do.
I mean, this is so much like an MLS for real estate. That's where I'm sitting here like, you know, because if I'm looking for a receiver, I'm going in there with, I want the fastest guy with the highest receiving percentage, like balls thrown to and balls caught. Like, I don't care if you're the fastest dude and drop everything. Like, that's, you know what I mean? Like, you have to know what data to extract from all that data. Because if you're like, okay, I want the fastest guy, but you don't realize he is so unathletic, he's just fast. That's where it's interesting to me. And they're almost, the reports it gives you is really good. I mean, it tells you everything about them. So it breaks it down in a way that you don't have to have that background knowledge.
Yeah, the full report. It gives you a full report on them statistically. You know what they're good at. Oh, he has good. You know, for lineman, he has good footwork, good with their hands, pad
and
level.
I don't want to get you too fired up, but would it go in and talk at all about value? Is there any value?
Yeah, it rates them. Yeah.
So, but I mean, does it give any indication of what their previous NIL might have been at another school? Like, how much?
Yep. It'll tell you where they've been. Yep. It'll tell you.
And the only reason I bring that up is I know, and I read the article by that guy. I think it wasn't the Hartford Current, though. It was some other media outlet.
Oh, yeah. The one that I bashed.
Exposing the,
just exposing it didn't expose anything. Didn't expose anything. It was
no, but I'm saying it's what he was. It sounded like he wanted to have you know, all these guys, you know. And again, I think folks in government, that's a little different animal.
They're 1099. They're independent contractors. They're not employees of the school. You have no right to know what they pay, what they're paid.
And I don't disagree. I just thought that was interesting. But I was curious on the recruiting side because like, again, if you're a school that says, hey, that's a guy, I like his speed, I like his hands, but man, look at what his expectation of NIL is. We can't provide that. Or you know what I mean? Like,
that. Wow. It puts the money, you know, that
really? It shows like their total earnings or something like that.
No. It'll say their expectation being like high, medium, low, something like that. I got
you. So they don't put dollars to it necessarily.
They don't put dollars to it unless it's reported. Unless
Okay.
it's
So any
reported, it
reported
could have it.
information, they would also extract.
Like
that
if I looked up Menza from Duke, it would have in there that he was paid $4 million from Duke over the last 2 years. Yes.
And did we ever establish if we like who makes those payments? Is it Duke University? Is it a collective? Is it
It was Duke University that made their payment to Menza. I think the second year, once
has
it
that
became
been
legal, the first year it was NIL.
Okay, and has it been regulated at all?
No, there is regulation. Each school is allowed to spend $20 million. Now it's up to $22 million on their athletic department. 15 is usually dedicated just to football.
Well, and you're talking private institutions and public institutions. And I think that's where for the University of Connecticut, for the non-sports folk, the regular students.
We report how much we spend on the athletic department.
Right.
We don't report team by team.
No. But I'm just saying as a state taxpayer in Connecticut, if they're not into athletics at all, I can understand their concern for their, struggling government performance, all the while these college athletes are bringing in more than they are a lot of times.
But if you report what Solo Ball or Terrace Reed, if they're making $2 million or whatever each,
it puts a target.
You put a target on their back. That was my argument. You put them in danger. And I brought up,
without a doubt. Yeah, without a doubt. And especially on a college campus.
Not only that, and I brought up it was different, but the Jasper Howard thing.
Yeah.
The Jasper Howard situation. People drove up from Hartford. Yeah,
they weren't students, right?
No. Yeah. And he was a star, and he got into that, and he was murdered over it. So I'm saying, okay, you don't think like a gang from Hartford or somewhere could drive up case where Terrace Reed lives?
Yeah.
They know their schedule. I mean, if they can pull it off on Patrick Mahomes and break into his house with his security.
Yeah. No, it was something, and I didn't. That's where I prefaced that I didn't mean to get you all fired up.
No, I did. I did.
It is one of those things that I think, again, they might be adults, but they're at their infancy of adulthood, and they're being exposed to things that most people never have to deal with, whether it's the safety and security or even just the time management of all their obligations all the while. Yes, they're being compensated, but it's not like, although Paige, the year she was injured, did make like $975,000 and didn't do anything.
Yeah, but look at Paige last year. Paige had a stalker. They had to hire private security.
No, it's because I reached out to Chris, actually. My brother was taking his daughter up to see them, and I'm just like, hey, do you think there's a chance, that she could meet Paige? And that he's like, hey, dude, no, she had a stalker.
No way.
Can't let anybody close.
No.
And I mean, in this day and age, it's just scary and sad because, like the T-shirt says, kindness is a superpower, and greed, man, it's not good for anybody.
But it's been working out. Like, that's why I said, if you know any coaches who want to see it and want to get involved, you're more than welcome to.
No, I think that's great.
It's an incredible program. It's not going to be super expensive. It's going to be a monthly subscription.
But it also goes to like what you started was a podcast for Husky Talk. It's turned into all these shows, and now it's turned into a side hustle based on the data and network you've been doing. So it's like,
well, no,
that's
Dave,
awesome.
It was Dave, really.
I understand, but it was Dave trusting in you, bro. Like, nobody, I'm telling you right now, as an entrepreneur and business owner, nobody pulls you in just because, dude. Like, you have value, because you provide and things like that. But my point is, if you just follow your passion and what you're doing, there's that snowball effect where, you pick up that one person that becomes a sponsor to the show. They like what you have to say, your personality, whatever else, and it turns into more opportunities. So when we talk about side hustles, it's not like it's short-sighted to think I'm going to make a little bit of money from this. Like, it needs to be a bigger thought part. Like, it's going to start by making me some money, but then I'm going to be able to hire somebody to do that for me.
The second one.
But it all comes back to systems. And I think, especially with that kind of data, it's all about building the right systems and then making sure you have, you know what I mean, the backup support to keep that up to date, because
and that was the one
there's nothing
thing
worse.
that he would need. Yes.
But if somebody starts relying on that and then there's a glitch,
Yes,
and,
we
you
need
know what I
a
mean? It's
support
a paying
team.
customer that
Yes.
can't utilize the resource. That's where I start to panic as a business owner, because I know that stuff happens. You can paint the roses picture, but what happens is, what are you going to do? You know, and if you've treated clients right, they're going to understand. And if you're honest, and you know what I mean, it'll all work out.
There's a fan version of it where it's very cheap. It's only $1 a day.
Yeah.
And fans love it. Fans have purchased it. And
so same data.
No. It's a different. It's slightly different for fans than college coaches. And the other agreement we made for colleges, for universities, is they sign with us. They can pick 3 schools that we will not send it to. We will not work with. So they have exclusivity over it. Because you know, if we give it to everyone, then
it saturates it, right? And I think it's less valuable. I mean, I think there is something to be, you know,
that was Dave's
monetization of something, and I think that was where, going back to the MLS and real estate, now that information is all over the internet, we aren't like the guy who holds the key. Like back in the day, you had to find a broker that had a multiple list, a physical list, to see what was for sale. Now you can just check Zillow or the internet and find out what's for sale, talk to the owner directly. It just makes it more challenging when you don't have total control. But I think that's that shifting and the pivoting and understanding how to stay relevant in this changing world and changing market. So I think that's awesome, bro, that you kind of just took, and again, it should streamline with what you're already doing. Like if your side hustle detracts from what your core business is, it's going to be hard to last very long. But if it's in line with what you're trying to do from the core business, and we've talked about ancillary businesses, you know, before that, like with real estate, property management, mortgage, title, there's so, you know, even landscape, painting, there's so many ancillary businesses that can work off of a core. And I think that's the best place to start for side hustles. Is what is it you do right now? And then does that passion align? Or is it going to fork in the road to where you have to leave behind that which has been your stable income and really take a risk? Because it's easier if within the same, you know, streamline of what your core business is, for sure. And you're more knowledgeable about that usually.
I coached college ball for 10 years. I have contacts.
And you know what they're looking for.
Joe V involved. Yeah, Joe, he hates his job. He would love to do this full time, and he has more contacts than anyone. So he's been able to get it out there. And then Julius Williams has the best lineman organization in the country. His name is well known. He's got 1 million contacts. So they're able to get it out to different coaches. So
I think
that's why it's working. And, you know, if we are able to get more people involved, and then Dave doesn't have to do the troubleshooting, we can get a software engineer to handle that. That's what he wants to get to eventually.
Yeah. So I think what you see here is that whatever kind of side hustles, I think a couple things mentioned. You definitely want to do something that's kind of like in alignment, like that's aligned with your talents, abilities, or something you already do, something you're trying to build towards. And with that said, like, so if you had to pick a side hustle, Labe, you pick a side hustle that's like aligned with something you do, to be like, this would be a good side hustle that somebody can get into, that can lead to a bigger thing, or that they can their whatever they're doing.
Well, I thought Laban's idea was great about if he could do the indoor facility. Because that's a huge money maker.
Well, and it depends on, again, in our area, we just do not have facilities. We don't have gym. I talk to coaches in volleyball, in basketball, and like right now, our local sports park had a roof leak or a pipe freeze. So they had to cancel practices. And now and that goes back to my original, like, do you have a backup plan for when whatever you have going doesn't work? There's a local Italian restaurant. I went to the first time and everybody loved their pizza. So I'm like, is there any way we can get a pizza? She's like, oh, I'm sorry to tell you, but it's an Italian oven and the part is still not shipped here yet. So, like, that's not a great first impression.
Right.
I'll go back and try it. But it's like when your business says it offers something and then the customer comes in expecting it and you don't have it for whatever reason.
Not exactly.
It just makes it very challenging to get them a second time. Like you only get one chance to make a first impression. But it definitely should align fresh. I think, again, just for ease of use, unless it's something that you totally want to change your trajectory. Because I've always said, and most people in investment side tell you not to quit your day job until you know it can work.
Yeah.
And I'm all about risk, but I think you just want to make sure whatever you're doing does work. Because especially if it's something so unique that nobody's really tried it before. And I've seen this with restaurants where they try to be too fancy or too cute. And it's like, bro, just stick to the basics. That's where the old KISS method of keep it simple, stupid.
Simple, stupid, yeah.
But in real estate, yeah, I mean, if you own rentals, like, you need plow service and landscaping. Now, I make most of single family homes. I have my tenants mow their lawn. But if I'm in real estate and I can offer that service, I can tell the tenant, hey, listen, we expect single family home tenants to mow their own lawn, but we do offer a service for $20 a month.
Right.
So, you know what I mean? It's one of those things where if I find enough tenants that are like, oh yeah, I'd love to pay for, then do I just start including that in rent? It gives you the opportunity to make decisions when, if you never tried it or you don't know if it works, it can't even be a part of your repertoire.
Yeah, for sure. So if you had to pinpoint one side hustle, Lave, what would it be? Like that to just, would you say, hey, I think this would be a good side hustle for someone to hop into?
Oh man, and I guess for me specifically, I think of landscape in the summer and or painting. And I'm going to tell you why I say those two things. They both, like, painting is something that it can be residual. And in fact, I ran into a painter during the recession, or I'm sorry, not the recession, during the pandemic, where I said to him, I'm like, well, the challenge with real estate not moving is that people aren't selling furniture. You're not getting as many paint jobs. Same thing when tenants are sticking put. And he looks at me, he's like, dude, I haven't had jobs from so many of these landlords that I usually paint for. That's probably the reason. I'm like, that's definitely the reason. When there's not turnover, you as a painter are not as busy, right? Exactly. So I think those, and a good painter, you can tell you're not, you clean up after yourself, you trim, properly, or you take off outlet covers, little details that so many people don't think of. So to me, that is an easy side hustle where if you get a brush and you buy the paint and it's something you charge the customer directly, well, now they've bought you all your supplies of either paint or paint brushes, and you can go out. The difference, I said to my son, is in landscaping, the grass keeps growing. So if you plan on being away for a week, you better line up somebody to mow those lawns at least once a week. Whereas with painting, it could be in an air-conditioned house, right? It's better situations, and it's a paint per job. It's not a weekly. Do you know what I mean? So people think the same thing with snow plowing. You might have 3 weeks where you're not out plowing because it didn't snow. But then you might have a weekend when you are working 48 hours straight. And does your schedule allow for that? So I think sometimes people aren't realistic about on side hustles, what they have to do, what their actual commitments are, either for the earned income. But find somebody like me, like we talked about my buddy Nick Hodis, who wanted to plow. I had a plow truck, wasn't going to plow. So it's like, find somebody that has a bunch of lawn mowers and a truck and trailer that isn't using them, and see if you can be their subcontractor and they become the manager of it. There's just so many side hustles that you can get into that will start paying you like as soon as you mow, right? And then again, have an invoice set up. It is not hard. Use AI. And can you lay out an invoice for me for this company? But listen, do you know how many times I've had a handwritten invoice like this? And I'm like, dude,
really?
Come on. Oh my goodness. But now I have like my daughter's cars in the shop. And so they sent me a text message or I click on it and you elect what services you want done and if you accept or decline it. So I know there are some young people primarily that are tech savvy that are doing these things to make it easier on the consumer to pay for their service. But again, it's like if you were mowing lawns and you had an app that you could text the customer like while they're standing there and all they have to do is click a button to use their Apple Pay or whatever else. I mean, that aspect of contractors, because contractors will tell you that's the worst part is getting paid. Okay, then find a solution so that that's not a problem at all, right? There are just so many technological advances that if you're good at mowing lawns, very meticulous, clean up after yourself, same thing with painting, be meticulous. Most of this stuff is just, you don't even need OCD. You just need to care. Have some pride in what you do. And I think, honestly, there's so many side hustles that just do it better than anyone else is doing it. Honestly, like sometimes you just have to show up. But if you do it even better than everyone else, your competition goes away. And then you name your price because you know how well you do it. And if they hire somebody else, it's not going to get done as well as if you do it. So I think that's where there is this pride. And most people that pursue a side hustle, like they do it because they want to better themselves, make more income. It's not because they love the grind.
No, right? Of course not. No,
you might love the grind, but it can only last so long if the revenue isn't being generated.
No, for sure, man. That's, you definitely touching on, some of the things we've mentioned before, especially with that in terms of side hustle. But you're talking about being a go-getter, basically being a go-getter, get after something. And just so far, like just what you guys talking, basically, like Steve is talking about basically having a side hustle off of kind of intellectual property, if you will.
Yeah.
That can be used, right? You have something like an app or some kind of service that somebody can subscribe to. That's residual income coming in over and over again. You touched on kind of adding auxiliary services or ancillary services to something that already exists, right? Okay. Mm-hmm. Someone who could, like if someone's like mowing lawns, right? Or, you want to basically figure out something you could do. If you're doing some kind of service base, you want to think about how you could provide services for each season, right? So you could, the same person that's doing mowing lawns can be plowing and shoveling, can 100%. Also be cleaning pools, like you should be able to do all of those services so that when each season hits, you can do all of those things. And also if you and when you mention like, especially people mowing lawns, you start out mowing lawns, but then other things that need to happen, which people will kindly do. You start saying, hey, we mow lawns, but we also trim hedges and we can, cut down certain bushes or whatnot. You could take it another step further where you can do tree stump grinding, right? That's another one. In addition to that, you can add other services. Not only the tree stump grinding, you could start doing aeration of lawns and stuff, right? You get, take it.
I don't want to interrupt you, but somebody's hearing you tree stump grinding. They're like, well, dude, I don't have a machine for that. Okay. What you can do is you can know, like the guy that drives by that exclusively, like you can say to him, hey, I need this stump grinded at this address. The person doesn't know who you're contacting. They reach out to you and you sub it out to them. And maybe it's a $350 job. So you charge them $400. You paid the tree stump guy $350 and you kept $50. You know what I mean? Like so many people think, well, I don't have the equipment to grind a tree stump. It's like, no, but find somebody that does it well, that isn't good at marketing and finding leads, and have that be your side hustle, is subcontract these services that you recognize that some people don't even realize they need. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I didn't mean to cut you off, but I just think sometimes people are like, well, dude, I don't have 10 grand for that equipment, but become the manager of it and make sub out of it. Now you got to make sure they're going to do the good work and be accountable for it. But there are ways to do it without buying all this equipment.
Yeah, for sure. You just touched on it. So remember, you said it's not about the grades you make or even how much money you make. It's about how the hand you shake, right? So that's a hand you shake. You build a relationship with this person, and you're basically saying, I can get you more business, right? I can send you more business. Not many people are going to turn down more business Right? Especially if it makes sense.
Right.
Like, okay, like you're basically finding, like, you know how you have people who bird dog look for properties. You can literally bird dog. You can say, hey,
work.
You find me some Trump. You know, as this, let's say this person who has the tree. You know, they can cut down trees. They can turn things into mulch. You can have, hey, I need you to go scour this neighborhood and just see where there might be tree stumps or you know, just things that these services. And once you do that, be like, hey, I see you guys have tree stumps. We can grind them down for you, you know, and move this for you and do that. And then sometimes people just never think like, oh, I didn't even know I could do that. Yeah. And then, you know, these are things you do. And then what happens is you just add stuff on. Like after you grind the tree stump. Maybe you can also do with the whole kind of landscaping, you can have where you know, get stuff filled in with dirt and you turn it into like a bush or patches of like perennial flowers or things like that. Like you just have to think outside the box, take it a step further. So how can you upsell, if you will? So once you go from just shoveling someone's driveway to say, hey, do you have landscape? Or you can have some landscape. I see these bushes are pushing up on your windows. You're probably losing natural light. Just start understanding how to talk with people.
Right. That's great.
And then you go, all right, I can take this tree stump away. Now it's going to be a hole in the ground. People don't think about that. Well, we can also fill this hole in for you and plant some flowers or seed the grass for you. That's an additional charge. We could just remove it and you can take care of it whatever way you want. Those are the ways you could do that. So it's good you guys brought up those two things, those two side hustles. I'm gonna add one, something we briefly talked about before, but this is a whole thing. Like, so for me, I'm a big, like, you know, one of the things that I would say that I am is an income stream developer. I figure out ways to develop income streams from a bunch of different things and basically kind of side hustles, and then kind of turn them into main hustles, or how to take one hustle and then create multiple kind of streams from that. One of those things is if people are, I would say, if anyone who is a little handy, if you've ever fixed something in your house that, you know, all right, you went on YouTube, you don't mind going to YouTube University and learning something real quick and take care of something. If you look at something simple as what most people who have a home would have in it, which is a washer dryer, even if you have an apartment. So I spoke about this before, like doing basically renting washers and dryers. Yeah.
I think that's great. So
you could get you some residual income. You can find them for dirt cheap on these different places, on you know, Facebook Marketplace, other places and other sites. Sometimes you'll have where people are doing, like, you know, just curbside, like pick it up from the curb. It'll be sitting out here on this day. The city picks up large appliances on Wednesday. I'm sitting it out on Tuesday. So you need to pick it up before Wednesday and it's yours, right? So sometimes you get things like that. And I would tell you this kind of firsthand, because I've fixed my own, you know, washers and dryers inside the house before. And how simple it is crazy. It's really not that hard. It's not hard at all. So that's another part of the business that you can kind of upsell with people. That's how you can differentiate yourself, as saying, hey, and you do it as a set. Like, I have washer dryer sets. So you have washer dryer set, you rent it to them. You rent it to them. Let's just say you might rent it to them for between, I would say, 60 and probably $80 a month. That someone will pay for it, kindly pay for it, no problem. You know, people sign on for, you know, a year or, you know, or even longer, but you sign them up for a year and then you just basically agree to fix it if something happens. Now you already know you have to, that's one thing. You can do the fixing, or you could just say, we'll replace it. You'll fix it or replace it. And that's another thing, because it's so inexpensive, you know, like these things will last. They rarely break down unless somebody does something really crazy, but most of the time no one does anything crazy. So you'll have them, they're working, you're getting, call it $60-$70 a month. And then you just keep repeating cycle. You can keep doing that and doing that and doing that. And all you have to do is swap out, move things around, and you could just keep that thing rolling to where you can have tens of clients to, you push it. And that's an easy way to kind of get it. And you're just kind of renting out machines. And then you can, and there's always an upsell opportunity to do things. You can rent out machines. You can, in additional to renting out the machines, if you didn't offer the fixing, you could fix it. But here's one of the things that I think is just taking this particular side hustle to another level is building a relationship with apartment complexes. So apartment complexes, a lot of times they will have washer dryer hookup, and then people have to bring their own machine. You can be like, hey, we could be the washer dryer provider for you, and saying like, hey, you could get your own. We actually have this company that can rent it for you. They'll do the maintenance and everything. Because if you get your own, you're responsible for it. So now that's another thing. People don't like, they go, all right, they'll buy a new machine. And I see this happen all the time. People will buy new machines. Once something goes wrong with that machine, they buy another
get a new one.
Yeah, they just go
because they go, okay, they hire a tech. The tech comes out, hey, just for me to come out, it's $150, $200. All right, then that's not included. If what I find is more than that, then you just pay the difference. Guess what? It's going to be more than that every time. It don't matter. They're going to make sure it's more than that. So that's just kind of how it works.
Laban, give me 1 second here. Let me run.
Okay. I'll try to remember
sponsor.
This thought. Oh boy.
Down south, we have Julius Williams and the Trench Mob. They're located in Decatur, Georgia. Julius and his team train offensive and defensive linemen. They compete in 5v5 tournaments and college showcase camps across the country. They are the best of the best when it comes to training and developing linemen. Julius has sent kids to schools like Florida, Florida State, Miami, Tennessee, Clemson, Georgia, and Alabama, just to name a few. If you want your kid to go Division I football, they got to work with the Trench Mob. They have a virtual program as well, and you can come to any tournament you want. To join the Trench Mob, go to their website, www.trenchmobfootball.com. Nedvonne Young owns Fresh Fold Laundry Company in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. It's a high-end laundry service. You book online, you put your laundry out in a clear plastic bag. They pick it up, wash, dry, fold it for you in lightning speed records, and it can be done in 48 hours. They are now offering a drop-off service as well, so you can have your laundry done without leaving the comfort of your own home. They have an online subscription model as well, weekly or bi-weekly, so everything's done there. You book online, they pick it up, wash, dry, fold it for you, and then you can subscribe weekly or bi-weekly to their service and have it done there. They also have deals for college students. There's many colleges in the Chapel Hill area. You can get a deal, the same thing, and have your laundry all done for you without leaving the comfort of your dorm room. All you have to do is go to their website, myfreshfold-laundry.com. How about that?
Right.
You got it right.
Dude, you're always on point.
Well,
and I made a note.
Go ahead. So you missed the website again. Is my-freshfold. That's it. My-freshfold. We changed it. My-freshfold.com. You did it right last week. I don't know what happened this one.
Fuck. Okay.
Did you implement the wrong one? But listen, I made notes so that I could follow up on what is a great point, Fresh, as far as if you have some ability to repair things, to do that. I think to piggyback that, though, if you are not skilled at repairing them, but you're good at finding those opportunities, you become a bird dog for the repair guy. Because when I think about the repair guy who goes out to these different homes, spends 30 minutes to fix it, and then drives around the next place, if you said, hey, dude, like when you're back at the shop, I've got 10 new units for you to repair, like on your downtime, repair these things, and then I'll work on the selling of them so that you just focus on repair, because so much in small business, the person who's good at repairing them is not good at bird dogging or finding new units.
They're not doing it.
It's not a part of theirs. And that's where, to me, most people that are good at the selling aren't real savvy mechanically to fix them. And so you need that pairing of both and making sure that it works for both of you. So I think that's where, and then I go to one of the best ideas that I need to implement. My wife has come up with it, and it really does take, if you are that handyman, like you're describing, Fresh, you can fix a few things and you can see something, know it's not broke, or know it's broken, and know what you need to fix it. And it's usually like a belt or something fairly simple if you're knowledgeable about that stuff. But we've wanted to create a homeowners, like, we have a business entity called Erie Home Solutions. Well, the solution to your home maintenance is getting on an annual maintenance agreement where we clean your gutters in the fall and spring. We change your HVAC filter twice a year, spring and, you know what I mean? And so there are these seasonality things where it's like, hey, if I have a guy that's super handy at all these things, okay, the month of September, bro, you need to schedule all of these membership clients and get their gutters clean. They don't care when you do it. You know, don't be peeping in the windows, be professional, but it's like, they don't care when you show up, if it's 7:30 in the morning or 7:30 at night. Now, the HVAC, when you got to get inside the home, there's going to be more coordination. So maybe I'm good at coordinating and can schedule those for you, but you have to stay on that schedule and do the work. So I think there are so many opportunities where if you are handy, like, find a mentor, broker. I need to do it, but I need to create the service for my clients, our landlords, where it's like, we all know you need to replace the filter in your HVAC for proper performance at least twice a year. So just take the pain points out for these homeowners. And again, somebody might have a boiler. Okay, the boiler doesn't need that, but you might need to go vacuum around all of the innards and things like that. So an annual maintenance agreement would be one of the strongest thing that you can attach to a home, where when you go to sell it, if you say, oh yeah, I've been using Erie Home Solutions, every year they come out and do this, 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 and this. That is such a huge selling aspect when I go to market the home. And hey, by the way, if you want, for $500 a year, you can have it included, or, you know what I mean, with your purchase. There's so many different ways to turn that into sales and opportunities, but you have to have the maintenance guy that is reliable. So every September he does do what you say you're going to do. Because as soon as you offer a service and you don't follow through, forget about marketing and selling. Like, get your service down so there's no questions before we start selling it. And I think that's where so many people worrying about selling it. It's like, bro, you need to improve your product first, or your service. So I think that's where, and then finding a mentor to bounce things off of, where it's like, okay, this is the plan. Does that make sense? It's like, dude, that's not going to work in Erie's market or in the Charlotte market, whatever it is. So I think there's so many opportunities, I guess, depending on what I always think back on personalities. So, because some personalities aren't good at selling. Other personalities aren't good at detailed, meticulous work to repair things and repair it properly. That's the other thing. If you repair something, a week later, somebody's got to come back, you're only going to last so long in business. So,
yeah, Fresh. I had talked to James, and I told James, because you both are brilliant with different ideas, and James has worked in several different industries. I said, you guys could do like a consulting firm, because you could help so many people with your ideas and your thoughts. I think that would be very valuable. Something just as simple as that.
No, for sure. I mean, I think that I can definitely see that. It's funny. I think I mentioned before, it's another, for me, we already have, my wife started, help her grow in her AI consulting firm.
Nonprofit thing,
working with nonprofits primarily right now. So it's about a month, just about a month in, and got stuff going. It's funny, we use one of the methods she uses that she does primarily is doing a podcast method. So we do kind of podcast. She has podcasts where she interviews these decision makers in these nonprofits to kind of get a better feel, just to kind of get a feel for their industry and what they're doing.
Right.
And then it kind of kills two birds with one stone. We also get a chance to see what kind of needs they may have and if we can have some solutions for them. So in the process of doing that interview, we see that we have solutions. We're able to do that. So it's funny you mentioned that consulting is definitely something that I know me personally, I've been shifting towards doing it on a as a side hustle, if you will, because it's funny, I just kind of been doing it. I've done it for numerous people without any
monetizing it.
Without monetizing it. Yeah. And I think I mentioned that before. One of my frat brothers has said it to me. He was like, Fresh, he's like, you need to monetize this. And that's something that I'm making my business to do more of in 2026.
Yeah, I think you would be great at it, and James was definitely interested in talking with you about it, just because your shared knowledge and experiences could help a lot of people who really are going without a plan, who don't have direction. So I think you can give them that, and you can give them, simple steps to take to get to where they want to go. Because a lot of people, the biggest thing he said is people won't take that first step. They're afraid to, or they don't know what it is.
And it made me think about another side hustle that I'm very grateful for. And I want to try to encourage and be a conduit for people that want to do this. And that is specific sport training. Like my son, Drew, works out with a guy whose name is Keith Wallace. He's the wizard. I mean, anybody locally, literally, if I've had people watch my son and say, oh, I know he goes to Keith because of the way he plays and the way Keith instructs. I mean, Keith has a great job with Erie Insurance, but he does this Saturday, Sunday mornings at the Boys and Girls Club, charges a reasonable rate, but it's like, bro, it's really good money to the point where, like, I want to build a gym so he can rent space from me because of how great he is. And I know he doesn't have the gym time he'd like to have or the flexibility. So I think there's so many opportunities, especially if you've been successful in athletics. Like my son, Drew, also has a new assistant coach. I can't remember his last name, Russ, who I saw post like for private lessons. He played pro ball in Europe, I think.
Yeah.
And
no, that's huge.
Drew loves him as a coach. And so he's trying to get, like, listen, if you want your kid to get better, one-on-one attention from somebody that knows what they're talking about in athletics is going to be worth your while. I assure you. And if it's not, use them once or twice and don't use it again. And I think that's where you're going to know for a side hustle if it works is if people pay you. And quite honestly, I almost should not give Keith a shout out because he has to turn people down, unfortunately, because he just doesn't have the time and or gym space. So I think
he wouldn't be able to do group training.
He does. He already does, and he still doesn't have enough. Like, listen, dude, he's got 3 girls that all play for with my niece for prep. That this team in 4 years is going to be absurd. I mean, these girls are putting in so much extra work with Keith than anybody else. I'm just saying, unless they do something really crazy, there's no way not to be successful. They're getting great mentorship. They're putting the work in Sunday mornings at 8 a.m. during the season. Like, nobody's asking them to do it. The parents have to drive them because they're freshmen and they're not old enough to drive. Like, this is pure motivation. And then what they do on the court is a direct result of their private coach. And even their head coach must recognize it from the school. And that becomes the biggest challenge with high school athletics is that if you're just relying on your high school coach to get better, you're not going to be good enough. You have to seek private lessons from better coaches and individuals, and then you have to spend the money. And it should be worth it. It's very valuable. I'm not saying for a scholarship. I'm saying for work ethic to improve on what he's doing. And so private lesson coaching in your niche. And I've never monetized the pole vault. I spent a substantial amount of money on fiberglass poles and everything else. And at some point, it will just make sense for me to monetize it. And even in the summer, when people say, hey, can I bring my kid out to jump? What does it cost? I don't charge anything.
Not many
right
people
now.
have a pole vault thing in their backyard.
But if I have to build a $500,000 facility that now we can use all the time, it only makes sense for me to charge and monetize
that would be different.
the facility, the resources, but especially my time. Right.
But
and I think that's the biggest thing.
You could bring in tournaments. There's so many different things you could bring in.
Endless opportunities. And I think that's the other thing is once you have the proper resources, AKA facility, properly systematize it and create, like, I work out at a gym where they have a shared schedule. So I know exactly who's in there before me, who's in there after me. And there's ways to monetize it. Like the local, the Vault Shack down in Mercer, they have a QR code on every single one of their poles. And Coach Brady literally was at a meet, saw it was one of his poles that was being rented. So he shoots the QR code, knows exactly what athletes is assigned to, knows exactly how much they paid to rent it. And I mean, it's a system that makes what he's doing so much easier. And he's monetized something where, okay, you need poles to pole vault. Kids, most schools can't afford to purchase poles, but they're willing to rent them for $200, $250 a season. And you have the inventory to do it. So from my perspective, I am trying to build my pole vault pole inventory so that when any kid, size, shape, speed comes in, I'm like, I have a stick for you. And then it's like, hey, if I have a few extra poles and you need them for the season, I'm going to charge you $250 to use that pole, get it back to me after states, and then we'll see what you need next year. Because a lot of times you need 2 or 3 poles per athlete. So I have thought about monetizing my knowledge and understanding of the pole vault, but it also takes like a lot of years of delayed gratification and letting people know, hey, I can produce a solid pole vaulter if you give me time and energy. I have the resources and I have the knowledge. So once I have the facility, I feel like I'll be unstoppable and we can build something in the Northwest PA region that'll reach Ohio, reach New York, maybe Canada. And to your point, Steve, I can now start putting on pole vault.
The events would be huge.
Like, I don't care. You don't need to run any other events.
I already got the name for it, Labe.
What? I do too. Give it to me.
Voltapalooza.
So listen. Oh, but real quick though, I want to give you my name because it's a facility behind my Peach Street office. I hope Levi doesn't listen to this because he doesn't. But it would be called the ER is the acronym for the Elite Retreat. Because in business, we have the elite estates and we would have a weekend where we took the elite agents and did an elite retreat. But the beauty is a little spin, kind of like the broker than you. Yeah. It's no retreat, bro. It's for the elite. And this is not a retreat. It might look like a nice facility, but if you think you're coming in here and just going to sit back and relax,
you might go to the ER for real. You might go to the ER.
That's right. I'm going to send you to the ER, except it'll be the one downtown because you couldn't take a Hootie type workout. Hootie. That's what I want. I want that Hootie energy in that facility. And I'm telling you right now, it has to produce absolute stud athletes, which also become, I talked to a guy recently. I'm like, listen, if your kid is not coachable, your kid is not employable. And so that's what sports offers in the long run, not just a college scholarship or an NIL. It's life lessons that will garner you opportunities that the regular students don't get because they don't understand the work ethic, teamwork, all that goes into being a former athlete.
Fresh. How do you know when to double down on your side hustle versus when to possibly shut it down?
So double down and shut it down. So
that was a question that came in.
That's good. I think doubling down or like when you it's about trends, right? If you're trending, meaning like you're making money and you're trending towards where in whatever set amount of time, you can see that the amount of money you're making with your side hustle can overtake or compare to what you're doing for what your main job is or something like that. That's letting you know if you're trending in that way. You don't have to be like, all right, I'm there. Yeah, it could be like it's trending. It's like, okay, 6 months we're making a little bit of money. You know, I'm making gas money. okay, in a year we're in the black. We're making some money right now. We're good. Like all of our debts are back paid, and everything right now is starting to turn out more profit.
Correct.
And then it's just growing, and then it's like, all right, at some point, it's like, you know how they say it's like watching grass grow. Like if you don't cut your grass for a while, or if you're Laban, if you don't cut your beard for a while, right, it's gonna go crazy, right? So it's one of those things where if you start to see, okay, it's like watching grass grow, but it's like, you know what, it's really high. Like this thing is like it's getting there. Like it's getting to that point. That's the trend. Is trending towards I will be in a position to where I can either cut back on what I'm doing as a main hustle, or this will surpass what I'm doing as a main hustle. Now I work for myself. I have my own business, own company, can kind of stand on its own too. That's one thing. And then the trending towards the opposite is when a couple things happen. Is when you are not, a lot of times really when you are not committed to the discipline, right? And I say it that way because people can make almost anything work, because as we talk about this all the time, it's about systems. If you're willing to put a system in place, something that's proven that somebody else has done, it's kind of hard to fail. You're going to do it, and it's going to make money. It's going to do some things. But when you lack the discipline to go, all right,
follow through.
I have to be up at 6 a.m. I got to take, all right, I can't, I have to give up watching Netflix. I have to give up doing these things because I need to put that hour, 2 hours into this business. So a lot of times that's usually the determining factor that is not producing. And it's usually because you're not producing. You're not putting the time in to invest in yourself and your systems to help you be able to implement something in such a way that's going to allow you for you to have the trend in the right way that's heading towards you being able to, really monetize this and make more money and do the things and help you accomplish some of the stuff you want to accomplish. I do that. But to wrap it all up, when you go into any of these things, you need to have some kind of a goal. So for me, I look at things like, okay, if it's something I want, okay, well, let's just say if I said, all right, I want a jet ski, right? If I wanted a jet ski, and let's just say a jet ski that I want costs 10 grand. Okay, well, I don't just have 10 grand laying around. So, okay, what can I do to make?
How do I get there? Right.
Then it's like, okay, well, I did this. Okay, if I do this, all right, this is making me money. It's getting me to the point where I can make this 10 grand. And then you can put it towards that. Or, all right, I need to add for the apartment investors, how many doors do I need to cover my expenses? All right. And you might figure out, okay, each door I make about, let's just say, if you say, all right, I make about $200 a door a month. If you can make $200 a door a month, that's really good. So you could just do the math on how many doors you need. And that, to determine how do you get to your point. So you set the goal, you put the system in place to do that. But if you're not willing to do the discipline to even get to that point, that's where you know where to like kind of that, that's not for you. Because sometimes the motivation behind it is not for you. Maybe you can't do it with renting or flipping washer dryer sets, but maybe you are an excellent coach at something and you monetize that coaching, or you have some intellectual property, some ideas to do that, or you can consult and you do those things. Well, go ahead, like.
Well, go ahead, Steve.
You had another question. Sorry.
I was just gonna I just wanted to follow up on one thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Right. And what it made me think about back after the recession, there was a show aired out of California called Barter Kings. And what you would do is like you find a dirt bike for $1,000 that your son never rode, and you take it out and find somebody, and there was no cash exchange because times were tough.
It was always trading up. I remember that.
You always
the one he was trying to get
guys, and the one dude had Tourette's. The one guy had Tourette's.
Okay.
It was a great show.
Yeah.
So he would have trouble negotiating when he gets in stressful situations. He starts with these ticks. But the whole idea, he'd start the show with like a $80 microwave. And at the end, he wanted like his wife for Valentine's Day. He wanted to get her a $10,000 ring. And so you see the stages of him bartering. And what it comes down to, it's
Are
not
you serious?
Oh, bro, it's a great show. Look it up.
All the way up.
What it shows you is not so much the cost of the product, is the value it holds for somebody. Like
Correct.
the guy said, dude, I don't need my power tools anymore because I'm trying to do this. So he goes and sells his power tools, trades his power tools to somebody for a dirt bike. And then the dirt bike gets traded for something,
Wow.
You know what I mean? A stove that they know, and you just keep trading up in value. But what you have to do is you have to find somebody to which it has value for. And it reminded me about in fourth grade, I had an elementary school teacher who made us do this bartering. And my grandfather worked for Welch's juice plant out in Northeast. And so he gave me a case of these 3 different flavors of juice variety. And so you were supposed to bring something into school that you could barter with. Bro, it's elementary school, after breakfast and snacks, and I got drinks. So I don't care what else you had. You wanted a Welch's drink to wash down whatever snack somebody else had. So I don't care if you had a killer Lego set. If I was thirsty, like, I'm taking that. Like, if you have something that people really want, it doesn't matter how much money you have. They'll either pay whatever or they'll trade you something silly and be like, bro, what I have that you want isn't even close to the value. And they're like, I don't care. Right now, I need what you have, and I don't need this because it's desperate times. So that's what that made me think of, Barter Kings. And you can do, that's the Gary V method. I mean, it's like, go to a garage sale. People are saying, hey, I don't need this stuff. And bro, if they have it marked for $10, you might get it for $1. And guess what? It could have been worth $100. You have to have that knowledge. You have to be willing to talk, negotiate. And that's where I go back to card collecting. If you go to a card show of sports cards or Pokemon, bro, you got high school teenage kids negotiating with the adults. It's one of the best things kids can do. Now, you don't want to get fleeced, and no adult should fleece a kid. But at the same time, it's kind of like, hey, if you know what you have, it holds a different value to different people. So I thought of that show, Barter Kings. I'm sure they still have episodes of it that you can watch somewhere. Bro, it's a great show, very entertaining. And it is kind of like, why would you not do this all the time if you're that good at negotiating and that knowledgeable about different things? I mean, it was wild, the different products and things that they were trading for. And that was the thing. You couldn't add money. People would try to say, hey, about this and 1,000. Nope. We do not bring cash. It's straight barter.
Yeah.
Fresh. I mean, we kind of talked about this, but what side hustles kind of would be a good scale without requiring too many extra hours?
Time commitment. I mean, I would say things that you can automate, right? So where you put the time in on the front end. I mean, people can create, and something we should probably even do ourselves. I think I would challenge us to do this, especially me and you, Larry. We need to create some kind of white paper, some digital product where it's like, it could be something with advice or something, just something where there's a digital product that can be sold for, $27 and $19.99, where it's repetitive, right? It's it's there to be sold and people can see it. And it's so something like that. They call it, it's the one-to-many method. You do one thing and then many, and you can sell it to many. So you could just create something one time and it just kind of continues to go over and over. It's just like if we were to record some lessons about, like, we took it and we gave some advanced knowledge, like, right? We share a lot of free game here. But if we go, look, let's go into some advanced knowledge and we record that, and to get access to that,
it'd be a subscription type of deal.
So that's something to where if someone really wants to, you put the time in on the front end, you create something, and then people will continue to pay for it. Especially if you have an expertise that not many people have, or that people find valuable. Yeah. Right. And that is just what Laban's talking about. If someone finds what you have valuable, they'll pay for it. They will pay for it.
Yeah, you're right.
They'll find a way.
You already have someone on here who said he'd be down to join and show support. because you've been giving some good ideas, and he likes
take them
it.
and run, dude. But listen, that is probably the most valuable thing I learned early on, especially running a brokerage. If you are an agent within our brokerage, you know how everything runs because we've been fully transparent. And if you think you can do it on your own, have at it. 3% of people who have the information and knowledge ever put it to use. And as soon as I learned that, I stopped worrying about, and I'm not saying, because you are right, the subscription model where that next level is of value to some people and they will pay for it. But it's a wild phenomenon. And again, I think, part of it, if you're using that platform to create revenue opportunities, you don't have to worry about paying for that subscription because the value is that they're going to buy your service or product.
No, that is something Dave had wanted to do is make a website and do subscription only content. He thought it would be.
But anybody it's the same reason in the Olympics they give out a gold, silver, and bronze. Like if you are a client of ours and you send referrals 2 to 3 a year, like you should get a platinum membership to my company. I should issue you a platinum something to make you feel special. Same thing with silver, gold, and copper. I mean, people want to be a part of something, especially something that's winning and on the upside. So I think the more you can play into that and cater to people's desires, they will buy it. And I said that, I've said it many times, between the recession of 2008 and the pandemic of 2020, people never stop spending money on athletics, entertainment, and self-improvement. So I don't see that going away regardless of what the economy does over the next few years.
It's only going to grow.
And I think you're right, Steve. Going back to like that one, to me, one of the best side hustles for any former athlete, especially if you were a successful former athlete. We've got a local baseball facility called the Bomb Shelter. The 2 kids that run it, and they are kids, they're out of college now and probably married, but they were both Division I baseball players. I'm going to listen, dude. If you played at the elite level, like I'm listening, and I'm going to send my kid to listen to you so that I can step back because he's not going to listen to it from me. So, and most coaches who are parents of kids will tell you, I would rather have somebody else coach my kid, because especially if they coach the same way I do, or same thing with parenting, because I don't mind coaching my kids, but I think people hear it differently from different sources. And guess what? As a kid, it goes back to that. If you're not coachable, you're not employable. Your kids better be coachable first and foremost. Because honestly, what happens to a coach if a kid's not coachable? They stop. And we've all heard that. If your coach stops coaching you better be nervous. Good, bad, or indifferent. They're not encouraging you, or they're not degrading you, or yelling. And I will say, disclose quickly here, I went off on my 4th graders. Not off crazy, but 4th grade basketball, all I asked were for 10 of these kids to make 10 of their 20 foul shots, and we made like 4 of 20. One of the parents of the 3rd graders, who's at the other end of the court, came up to me afterwards, because halfway through, I'm like, listen, guys, I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed. I don't understand it. And so the dude comes up to me. He's like, hey, bro, if you weren't angry with what you just did, I don't want to see you angry. And it was one of those things where, like, I know these kids are 9 and 10 years old, but I also know 9 and 10-year-old kids are a lot smarter than we give them credit for. They all knew what they were doing. Like, we're standing around the foul line. I want you guys to make 10 shots. And one kid is like trying to make the kid who's shooting miss. I'm like, what are we doing here? What, like, encourage your teammates. Quit. Like, I'm sure I had a little bit as a kid, but as an adult now, I know how important it is to encourage people and not, speak down to them. Anytime we coach, praise in public, scrutinize private. I mean, and like you can convey this to kids. It's okay. And I even asked one of the other parents who wasn't there. I said, hey, did you hear about what happened? And he's like, well, I heard you got a little heat. And I'm like, I was just heated that we're all there and nobody cared. Like, if you're going to do something, try to do it to the best of your ability. And again, I said to my dad, it was a Monday night with elementary kids school, when they've had the weekend off. Now they're back in school all day Monday. Trust me, Monday night, don't do anything too productive or you will get frustrated, which reminded me, the best thing you can do to quell dissatisfaction with people, lower your expectations.
Yeah.
Just lower your expectations of people, and you will not be as disappointed as I was Monday night with my 4th grade foul shooting. I mean, dude, it was awful.
All right. Let me play the last thing here, and we'll finish up with a couple questions. Finally, we have James Whitfield of Luther James Insurance. For the last 3 years, James has dedicated himself to the art of financial services. He specializes in life insurance and insurance policies. He will save you money, make you a boatload of money, and do so tax-free. He also specializes in retirement planning because we know the stress that goes into thinking about retirement. How much am I going to need? For how long? Do we have enough? Because fear of the unknown is real. To contact James, go to www.lutherjamesinsurance.com. All right, so fresh.
Yep.
All right. So basically, you talked about the rise of some micro businesses. What would you say, building those types of income streams that could survive the various economic cycles that we go through?
So,
I think coaching obviously is one of them. I think that's.
I'm trying to. Are you saying which? What are you trying to say? Like which businesses would be like recession-proof kind of things?
What side hustles do you think could survive the various different economic cycles we go through?
I think anything, service-based businesses, services that people need, like things that are tried to that it's gonna have to happen regardless, no matter what, right? Things are gonna break. So if you can fix things, they're gonna have to pay to get it fixed or replace it. And certain things, some things people are just not willing to replace it, or they don't have the funds to do it, but they have the funds to repair it or to get it fixed, so they can do that. So if you could fix something, right? Something that if you're handy, things that deal with fixing and repairing things, things that people use a lot. I think those are the biggest things. I think right now it's kind of like you can start it side hustle wise, but kind of move into career. We talked about this before. I think the trades are slept on, and people really need to start pouring into these trades. Like between again HVAC, plumbing, and what's the other one? HVAC, plumbing, and electrical
landscaping.
Right now, I mean, you could start out doing that side hustle and be, and really, because I just had an HVAC person come and we just, had a checkup, tune up. Literally, was this yesterday? It was Monday. So Monday, and we're all good, checked out everything, but just them coming out and some of the services they provide, they were just telling that. And I'm always checking with these service companies because, I'm coaching in high school and being an educator. And then where we are, there's a program like this career training education, and they offer like summer internships. So I always ask these service providers, hey, do you guys offer internships for like young people, like high school kids, or they can get paid over the summer or paid certain time while they learn these skills? You need to feed your industry because I know it's scarce. They're like, yeah, we always need help.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, you need to get these kids. You got to start with the younger generation because these kids can start to see and they can use their hands. So I would say those, you can get into them like nothing. Most of them, you don't need a high school.
No,
you just need a high school diploma, or sometimes not. You
need a pulse.
They teach you. Yeah, they
need to be pulsing. And then a lot of them also have some kind of education and training built in.
Yes.
So you come in, they'll go, all right, on certain days or certain parts of the morning or afternoon, we go over things to get you prepared for the state exam after you get your 2,000 to 4,000 hours, depending on what it is.
What the requirement is, right?
So those things you can get into And the guy was like, hey, how long do you think, if somebody's a go-getter, how long do you think for them to get into their own truck? They're like 6 months.
6 months, yeah.
6 months. It's not a long time.
Not at all.
You're in your own truck. You're making service calls on your own. You could do that in 6 months.
Absolutely.
So,
I agree.
And these companies, a lot of times they're starting out in the, mid-20s an hour, or sometimes it's more.
Yeah.
And if you work emergency hours, that's even more money. So those are like no-brainers right now. I know we talk about side, but that's something you can do on the side. You can start working out on the weekend.
Yeah.
At certain times where you can, that somebody will be willing to have you come in and help, and you'll learn by default. And then before you know it, you can spend as much time doing it as you want. You can easily make a few $100s a day, easy. Like you get to a point where you're making $5,000. Making $500 a day. That's not bad for.
Yeah, that's really good.
Anybody, not even just a young person. You know what I mean? You just do the math, right? You making $500 a day, and we just call it 5 days a week, and you get your whole weekends off. That's $2,500 a week, right? That's $10,000 a month. Like you can,
$120 a year.
that is very doable. Like you can go help out. I mean, it might cost just to swap out someone's water heater. To swap out water heater, that's easily a freaking $2,500, $3,000 job, easy. And I can tell you right now, because we had ours swapped out. I just happened to have one of the kids I coached. Dad did it, so it wasn't. He just paid. I paid for all the materials, and all the materials, including the water heaters, was like, I think maybe $1,300. Like that was all the little pieces and everything he needed. The labor he charged me was $350. He was like $350, and we did both of them. He did $350 for one and $350 for the other. That was the labor. We paid for everything else. So he could have easily be like, all right, I'll upsell it for him picking up the thing and doing all of this stuff. So that easily, I basically paid $1,000 less. So you take that $1,000, the person would be like, all right, he would have made, let's just say he made $1,500 from that. From that $1,500, you help him, he'll pay you $250, right? He made $1,250. He'll pay you $250, and you do 2 of those in a day.
That's huge.
Easy. Oh man, you can do 6 of those.
That's your 500 right there. It's not hard.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. So hopefully that answered the question.
And this was a critical question. So, in your opinion, when is the best time, or when do you get to a point where you would sell your side business? And when not to?
Great question. So
I didn't ask
I think you should we should always at least be into a point to where we should have a business that's like that's what you want. You want it to be valuable enough for it to be sold.
Correct.
And not saying that you have to sell it, but you should know that it's worth something, right?
Exactly.
You should be okay, like, all right, we've done, like, if you look at, Marsh and Mark, where you got the family biz, right? So, but let's just say if someone said, hey, we want to buy it from you, like, and it was just like, and they made you an offer where, like, you kind of, not saying you couldn't refuse, but it made you think about it.
Yeah.
Like, if they offered you a certain amount of money, you could think about it. Because here's the thing, and here's why it's so, for me, the way I look at it is okay. If I did it once, I could do it again, right?
Yeah.
So that's it. Yeah.
Let's just say, okay, all right, you want to buy this? Okay, you can buy it, right? You just make sure when you're doing the sell, you have certain stipulations. Okay, nothing's stopping you from starting another business. So it's like, all right, I can start it again. But if let's just say, if the family business, somebody wanted to buy it for $500 million tomorrow, you're going, no, we're not selling it. No, you like, we're selling it. We can build another one. Right
now, I will tell you, with a $500 million price tag, I am quite certain that will come along with a non-compete. But I will give you a great local story where there was a garbage disposal company that was bought out, and they signed a 2-year non-compete. 365. So what is that?
2 years and 1 day.
2 years and 1 day. They opened up under a different name.
Yeah, exactly.
And all of us that use them 3 years ago are back to using them again, which is right to your point, Fresh. And literally, like, yes, you had to buy new containers and relogo and rebrand, but like you're using the money from what you just sold to like to do that. So, and that's true. Same thing we talked about that with restaurants, how they'll turn over, just give it a fresh name and a new look. But that is the question where you get into like a non-compete. But again, it depends on if you know your market. Like, are you planning on moving? Because most non-competes will be like up to for 2 years.
They have an expiration date. They will have an expiration date.
Right, but it will also have usually
the
like a
area,
radius.
The territory.
You know what I mean? So like if you can take and replicate the systems that I have up in Connecticut, you can do that day one, right? And then you come back at 2 years and 1 day and start that same system in that place. So I think that's where, you know, when you look at selling, and I think you really should start a business with the succession plan in mind or selling it in mind to a certain extent. And that's how it'll help you grow and build that business. The one thing I wanted to go back to on your question, Steve, to Fresh, the three things and why we got into real estate, aside from as far as rentals, is that people need food, water, and shelter. So if you're going to provide those, and it made me think of about a year ago when we were selling some things, I looked into ice and water machines, which it's a pretty good residual business. Now you have to have a public water line. You have to have the power source, but like there are different ways. I didn't realize that if you bag ice, it has to have like an FDA certain quality. But if you just distribute ice to somebody's cooler or somebody's own bags, or you sell bags but don't put it in, like there's different rules for it. But it is amazing because basically like we have a lot of fishermen down on the lake and different streams that get to the lake. And so if you can set one of these ice and water machines in a high traffic area, and preferably like you have a storefront of some sort where you can house this thing, and people will come by, and as they go to fish, they need ice to pack. I mean, there's just different things where it's like, okay, but you set up the machine. They have systems now that you can check, like, okay, if something either breaks or how many bags of ice you're selling to generate, you know, how much revenue it's generating. There are things that, like, we started talking about low cost side hustles. But like if you have an investor and you are a hustler, those types of things, laundry is another one that a lot of people get into along with rentals. That passive
laundry is in the top 5 right now for businesses.
But vending as a whole, is another thing. I mean, you're even starting to see crazy stuff being vended. Like their vending machine is big on card collecting now. I mean, vending machines have always been snacks and sodas, but if you own 100 vending machines throughout town and you just go pull quarters or the dollar machines, I'm telling you right now, that is the ultimate passive income because you have something working while you're sleeping or doing other revenue generating tasks. And so again, if you can find something and do your research, there's a bunch of water and ice manufacturers of the product and different support they're going to give. But if you have a lump sum to invest in something, do your due diligence. But there are a lot of opportunities for side hustles that might require more money than time or more time than money, but they're out there. And
even if you did the real estate thing and had a non-compete, couldn't you still invest and buy property? You could do it that way. And work around
I mean, that's
right.
And I think that's where, what is it they're buying? You know what I mean? Like, I think that's the other thing, because you can have a broker's license. You have to have a broker's license to operate and manage other people's properties. So like, in order to buy my business, you're going to have somebody that's a broker. And to touch on my wife's business, which is franchising a mortgage brokerage, she gives you all that support. And she's done hundreds of thousands of videos of how to, which is how that kind of started Fresh, is like you're saying, like if you can be a consultant and shows, she did a different video for each aspect of not only the mortgage process, but creating an entire mortgage company. So now when you go into her, you know, directory and you're trying to figure out, you know, how to comply with state laws, you can click on this and she'll tell you exactly how to do it without having to get her on the phone and replicate it. So if it's replicable, that is the greatest way to generate revenue in a passive manner, which is what you want all side hustles to become more passive.
And that's Dave's idea with the portal app. We can do it for basketball. We can do it for any other sport. So
you can do it for gymnastics. You could do. Yeah. I mean, it's
the same.
And I think that was the other thing within the last decade or so. People finally realized. And I heard a public speaker go up. He gave his whole talk in California in the high, tech area, and all these people are like, "Dude, you don't even understand what you just presented. What people want is the data, and you have the data, and you don't even realize what you have. We don't want your subscription. We want the data that you have that the subscription provides. And so again, that's exactly what you're talking about. And so, however that data gets established, like the portal, right, establishes that data, and then you become the source of the source. You are the outlet so people can get that data, but how that data gets there, you have to stay on top of that so that you make sure you're providing the most up to date. And that's the only thing that scares me with something. Right. That's the thing that scares me, is if same thing with Meg's mortgage business. When they change, federal law on mortgages, now you have to go in and make sure that last slide that didn't comply with that now complied. Then you have to update that and, things like that. So depending on how much ongoing maintenance there is to certain side hustles, that's where it might be a great idea, but how much ongoing maintenance is required. And same thing in real estate. Ongoing maintenance is required, or the thing's going to become crap.
And that's the thing. Once we get one sale, the universities have basically a portal tracker that lists everyone in the portal. Yeah. So if we get Florida State, if we get one of the schools that we're meeting with, they can give us what they have, so we can be 100% accurate with everyone in the portal. Yeah. And add that in, because that we don't have. I mean, we everything that it goes off of is, certain. We have all the top sources that people use. There's portal trackers and everything, and people who make announcements, but everything is 100% accurate from what I've seen. But they actually have lists of the kids that are in the portal. So we would be able to add that for them into it, and then we could use it for other schools. But then he wants to replicate it. We can do it for basketball. Basketball would be next. That would be the next way to make the most money. So that's what we're working on. But guys, great show. Great information. I appreciate it. That was excellent. Excellent ideas. And fresh, you got to talk to James. I think you and James would be great consultants, and would kill it. So, for the king of real estate, Erie, Pennsylvania, Laban Marsh, the entrepreneur expert himself, Nedvonne Young, Fresh Fold Laundry Company, Chapel Hill, North Carolina. I am Steve Cully, the best podcast host in the universe, broker than you. Remember, when life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Take 2 oranges, throw them back at life, and I'm Steve Cully. I'm running for Congress.